When most people recall Hollywood's golden era, they often imagine a glittering world dominated by white stars. Yet the truth behind that image was far more layered. Beneath the dazzling lights and perfect publicity shots were mixed-race actors who either concealed, softened, or sometimes proudly displayed their heritage. They worked within a system reluctant to reflect America's true racial diversity. Long before Halle Berry's Oscar triumph in 2002, or before names like Keanu Reeves and Dwayne Johnson became major box office forces, a handful of biracial trailblazers had already begun leaving their mark on old Hollywood. These early pioneers shattered racial limits at a time when interracial marriage was illegal in many states, and studios tightly managed their stars' public personas. But this story goes beyond film history. It's a revelation that may completely reshape the way you view Hollywood's golden age. Recognizing the racial battles these performers faced, sometimes hiding their ancestry, sometimes confronting it, and other times being confined to stereotypes, adds a deeper meaning to their work. From silent film icons to timeless legends, these 12 mixed-race actors defied rigid color lines that ruled the industry. Their journeys revealed not just courage, but the uneasy truths buried beneath Hollywood's polished surface, truths the studio system often kept out of sight. Prepare to discover 12 biracial stars of early Hollywood whose heritage profoundly influenced their careers while paving the way for those who came after. 1. Merle Oberon, the star who concealed her Indian roots. Merle Oberon's elegance lit up films like Wuthering Heights and The Dark Angel, but her background was far from the story Hollywood told. The studios claimed she was born to British parents in Tasmania, though her real life began in Bombay, India, as Estelle Merle O'Brien Thompson to a British father and a mother of mixed Indian and Maori descent. Because of deep-seated racial prejudice, an elaborate false biography emerged. Her grandmother became her mother, while her true mother was publicly presented as a maid. The destruction of birth records in Tasmania only helped sustain the illusion. Carrying this deception weighed heavily on Oberon, who avoided returning home and denied her heritage until her passing in 1979. Although her career soared, Oberon's life remains a haunting symbol of the cost of racial secrecy in Hollywood, where honesty about ancestry could have ended a career overnight. Ironically, the very features tied to her mixed heritage gave her the captivating mystique audiences adored. 2. Carol Channing, the Broadway icon who revealed her black ancestry at 80. Few people knew that Carol Channing, beloved for Hello, Dolly and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, carried a hidden truth for most of her life. At age 80, she finally disclosed that her father, George Channing, was a black man who had passed as white. In her 2002 memoir, she recalled learning the truth at 16, when her father warned her that revealing it could damage her career. "You'll be stigmatized," he told her. Knowing this gives her work a new dimension, especially since she later supported all-black revivals of Hello, Dolly without ever explaining her personal link to the story. When she finally went public, Channing expressed pride in her ancestry, recalling her father's words that any child of hers could be of color, which she described as a beautiful thought. She had kept her secret to survive the industry's bias, yet it's fascinating to consider how that knowledge may have quietly shaped her artistry and resilience. 3. Fredi Washington, the actress who refused to pass as white. In the 1930s, Fredi Washington possessed the looks that could have easily allowed her to pass as white, but she chose not to. Her performance in Imitation of Life, 1934, as a light-skinned black woman passing for white, mirrored the very choice she rejected in reality. Born in Savannah, Georgia, to black and white parents, her striking features often led to rumors that she altered her appearance. In truth, she stayed natural and unapologetic. Despite pressure from Hollywood to pass for better roles, she proudly declared, "I am a Negro, and I am proud of it." That conviction cost her many roles, but it fueled her activism. She co-founded the Negro Actors Guild in 1937 and wrote for The People's Voice, demanding equality for black performers. Washington's integrity turned her into a symbol of authenticity in an industry built on facades. 4. Ramon Navarro, the silent film idol with hidden indigenous roots. Ramon Navarro, born José Ramón Gil Samaniego in Durango, Mexico, became one of MGM's brightest stars after his breakthrough in Ben-Hur, 1925. Behind his fame, though, lay a carefully curated identity. The studio emphasized his Spanish lineage while suppressing his indigenous Yaqui heritage, presenting him as an exotic yet palatable romantic hero. This selective image let him share the screen with white actresses during an era when interracial intimacy was taboo. While many peers anglicized their names, Navarro proudly kept his. Yet Hollywood still shaped his ethnicity to fit its standards. As sound films took over, his accent and shifting tastes ended his stardom, but his legacy endures as a reminder of how Hollywood manipulated racial identity. His career remains a study in balancing pride and compromise within a prejudiced system. 5. Dorothy Dandridge, the first black woman to earn a Best Actress nomination. Dorothy Dandridge's groundbreaking Oscar nomination for Carmen Jones, 1954, made history, but her journey through Hollywood was filled with barriers. With her biracial background, she occupied a space that the industry couldn't neatly define. Though her light skin opened certain doors, studios refused to cast her in romantic scenes with white actors or in roles involving interracial relationships. This limitation trapped her in the very stereotypes she worked to transcend. Despite her enormous talent, Dandridge endured racism even at the Oscars. Seated away from white peers in the ceremony that honored her, her later years were marred by financial hardship and emotional struggles, ending with her untimely death at 42. Dandridge's story remains a heartbreaking testament to the price of beauty and talent in a world that refused to see beyond race. 6. Anthony Quinn, the Mexican-Irish chameleon who played every race but his own. Anthony Quinn could portray nearly any ethnicity Hollywood required except his actual one. Born Antonio Rodolfo Quinn, Oaxaca in Mexico, he embodied characters from Greeks to Arabs to Italians, winning 2 Oscars along the way. Yet the studios routinely rebranded his identity, emphasizing whichever background fit a role and rarely mentioning his indigenous or Mexican roots. His heritage was both his passport and his cage. Although his versatility made him one of Hollywood's most bankable ethnic actors, it also highlighted the industry's obsession with exoticism over authenticity. Quinn's long career stands as both a triumph of talent and a reflection of how Hollywood blurred cultural truth to fit its image of diversity. Quinn began his journey in Hollywood portraying cliched ethnic villains before branching into more varied roles. His major turning point arrived with Viva Zapata, 1952, where he played Marlon Brando's brother, a rare case of him portraying a character who shared his Mexican roots. Despite his rising fame, Quinn often found himself boxed into ethnic typecasting. He once admitted that after embodying so many different nationalities, he occasionally lost sight of who he truly was. His skill in shifting between identities highlighted both his versatility and the industry's racial blind spots. Studios frequently valued actors who could pass for different ethnicities rather than hiring authentically. When revisiting Quinn's performances, it's important to recognize how his mixed-race identity deepened portrayals that might have otherwise felt flat or stereotypical. These accounts expose how certain performers had to navigate Hollywood's racial constraints and still found ways to thrive in a system reluctant to see their full selves. 7. Canada Lee, the actor who refused to yield. Born Leonard Lionel Cornelius Kanagata, Canada Lee was a pioneering black performer of the 1940s, known for Lifeboat and Body and Soul. Unlike many of his peers, He rejected stereotypical portrayals, choosing to embrace his identity and champion civil rights. Even though he could have passed as white to access more roles, Lee became outspoken about Hollywood's racial barriers. His activism drew unwanted scrutiny during the McCarthy era, resulting in his blacklisting as a supposed communist. While some who were blacklisted managed to rebuild their careers, Lee suffered harsher consequences and never returned to prominence. He was even urged to protect himself by informing on others before the House Un-American Activities Committee, a proposal he refused. The emotional toll of being silenced weighed heavily on him, and he died of a heart attack in 1952 at only 45. Lee's unwavering stance ultimately cost him everything, cementing his place as a symbol of integrity and resistance in Hollywood's racial history. 8. Josephine Baker, the global sensation America turned away. In Europe, Josephine Baker achieved immense fame as a singer, dancer, and actress, fame she couldn't find in America. Born to a black mother and a mixed-race father, her lighter complexion and European features made her celebrated in France, where she relocated in 1925. Yet when she returned to the U.S. in the 1930s, she met vicious racism, with critics ridiculing her and restaurants denying her entry. In France, her background was exoticized, while in America, it confined her within rigid racial boundaries. Baker later became a French citizen and courageously aided the resistance during World War II, earning military decorations denied to her in the U.S. Her story reflects how biracial artists often had to leave America to find acceptance denied at home. 9. Jennifer Jones, the Oscar winner who concealed her Cherokee roots. Jennifer Jones, who won an Academy Award for the Song of Bernadette 1943, later starred in Duel in the Sun and Love is a Many-Splendored Thing. Though her mother was of Cherokee descent, Hollywood emphasized her father's heritage. In Duel in the Sun 1946, Jones portrayed a mixed-race woman labeled half-breed, mirroring the identity she kept private in real life. Her marriage to influential producer David O. Selznick further shaped her career and image. Jones maintained silence about her background, reflecting how biracial stars often had to choose between disclosure and discretion. Her portrayals in films dealing with racial themes hint at a personal understanding of the struggles her characters endured, giving her work quiet authenticity. 10. Lena Horne, the performer who redefined representation. Lena Horne rose to prominence for her stunning voice, elegance, and refusing to play demeaning roles. As one of the first black women to sign a long-term MGM contract, she broke barriers while confronting prejudice tied to her lighter complexion. Horne insisted on contract clauses that barred her from playing maids or caricatures, ensuring she maintained dignity on screen. This also meant her musical numbers were sometimes edited out in southern states resisting integration. Refusing to hide her racial identity, Horne used her visibility to fight for fairer treatment of black performers. Her disillusionment with Hollywood led her towards activism and music, where she contributed to landmark events like the 1963 March on Washington. In Cabin in the Sky, her refusal to adopt exaggerated dialects showed her quiet defiance of industry norms. Horne's legacy lies in how she upheld both artistry and self-respect despite systemic obstacles. 11. James Edwards, the pioneer who reshaped black masculinity on screen. James Edwards made his mark playing layered, dignified characters in an era when such roles for black men were rare. Born to African American and Native American parents, he rose to prominence with Home of the Brave, 1949, a film confronting racial prejudice head-on. Edwards rejected many degrading parts, accepting unemployment rather than compromise. His collaboration with the NAACP underscored his drive to reform Hollywood's image of black Americans. In notable works like The Steel Helmet, 1951, and The Phoenix City Story, 1955, Edwards humanized characters often reduced to background roles. Even when typecast as purely black, his performances challenged the audience's expectations and broadened the path for future generations. 12. Ricardo Montalban, the Mexican icon who battled Hollywood's narrow lens. Ricardo Montalban, born in Mexico, became one of the few Latin American actors to achieve enduring success in Hollywood. Known for roles in MGM musicals and as Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island, he often played characters from different ethnicities, from Native Americans to Japanese figures in Sayonara, 1957. Yet Montalban constantly pushed for more accurate portrayals of Hispanic culture. He blended pragmatism with activism, accepting iconic roles like Khan in Star Trek, while founding the Nosotros Foundation in 1970 to empower Latino talent. His journey revealed how Hispanic actors faced even fewer opportunities than black peers, yet he continued to demand respect and progress within the system. Montalban's legacy endures as a reminder of both personal triumph and cultural advocacy. Together, these 12 stories reveal how biracial performers shaped and were shaped by Hollywood's racial politics. Some, like Merle Oberon, concealed their origins to succeed, while others, like Freddie Washington, openly embraced their blackness despite the risks. The studio's treatment of them mirrored America's uneasy relationship with race, exploiting their appeal while restricting their truth. Their lives spark vital reflection on film representation today, exposing how society often dictates identity, while these artists fought to define their own. Understanding their obstacles deepens appreciation for their art, from Lena Horne's Stormy Weather to Merle Oberon's Wuthering Heights. Their experiences underline Hollywood's complex history with race and remind us that diversity has always been part of its story. So next time you revisit a classic film, think about the hidden histories behind the faces on screen and how they reshaped cinema itself.